In local matters, Kamala Harris will officially kick off her presidential campaign launch this Sunday in California. The California senator will be holding a rally in her hometown of Oakland. Before becoming a senator, Harris was a prosecutor, district attorney, and California state attorney general. Harris announced she would be seeking the Democratic nomination for president last Monday. She's already set historic firsts, including being the first black woman to serve as California's attorney general. She was also the first woman of South Asian and African American descent to become a California senator. Co-author of California Playbook and reporter for Politico, Jeremy White, joins me now to talk more about her bid for the 2020 presidential election. Welcome, Jeremy. Great to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Kamala Harris has a mixed record in terms of her past in California in some ways. Ahead of her rally in Oakland this weekend, break down for us why some say her record as a prosecutor, district attorney, and state attorney general is full of contradictions.
Sure. She certainly embraced some progressive positions on things like racial bias training for police officers. She refused to seek the death penalty for somebody who had killed a police officer, sort of defying a lot of law enforcement. But she's also been criticized by a lot of folks for being too timid about taking stronger stances on some of the criminal justice-related legislation in Sacramento, particularly having to do with the investigations of when police officers use lethal force. She's also faced some blowback for defending the death penalty here in California, although I think it bears noting on that one that the death penalty is still legal in California, and voters have repeatedly opposed attempts to overturn it. But I think it's fair to say that there is something of a mixed record there.
So what efforts do you think we will see from her at rallies, such as the one coming up this Sunday, to try and pitch herself as more of a progressive prosecutor?
Well, she's certainly gotten behind some criminal justice reform measures in the U.S. Senate that I think very much put her on the side of sort of progressive stance on law enforcement. I think in particular, she's been quite outspoken about trying to do away with cash bail, something California has just done. And that, I think I saw today in response to Roger Stone being released on bail, the senator saying on Twitter something like, this proves that the system is unfair, that somebody like Roger Stone can get out of jail quickly while other people sort of languish incarcerated. So I think that's one example of how she's really trying to embrace some of the issues that she's been in the Senate.
Right. And so I'm wondering whether you think these efforts to sort of, shape her past in a way that's most attractive to potential voters will ultimately be successful in places like California, where the public is more aware of her history.
I think it's hard to say at this stage, but I think a lot of folks recognize Kamala Harris as a pretty strong progressive, even if she does sort of have this mixed record when it comes to law enforcement. And I think the simple fact of it is it's hard to be elected district attorney of a major city, much less attorney general of the most populous state in America, without taking some stances that are aligned with law enforcement.
Right.
And so I think that there will be some pushback on her record there, particularly from Democratic opponents. But I'm not sure that it's something that's going to significantly alter how a lot of voters see her.
Well, clearly, she wants to be seen as more of a progressive now, especially since the more energetic sort of arm of the party is skewing a little younger and a more progressive. So how has she personally responded to criticism of her past decisions that might be seen as aligning more with a tough on crime view rather than the more progressive perspective that she is leaning into now?
She's long taken the stance that she believes in the role of law enforcement, even in disadvantaged communities where there's a lot of suspicion of police. She's taken that stance of sort of being a pragmatic figure when it comes to law enforcement. And I think you'll see her emphasize more some of the more sort of progressive actions she did take, like mandating racial bias training, try to sort of emphasize those parts of her record rather than some of the more controversial things she may have done, controversial to some of the more liberal parts of the electorate.
Right. And so this Sunday, what will you be listening for? What messaging do you expect her to focus on?
I think that she has signaled early in her campaign that she is not interested in sort of being a single issue candidate. So I don't think she wants to be the law enforcement candidate in the way that, say, Elizabeth Warren is sort of the candidate pointing out corruption in the financial system. So I suspect she's going to lay out sort of a broader, more hopeful vision. And, while she said in her campaign launch that it wasn't just a campaign against the president, she also mentioned right up high that we want to send a message that the Donald Trump administration is not the America that she wants to be a model. And so I think she'll try to set out an alternative vision.
Jeremy, thank you. Jeremy White from Politico, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on.